In this video, we'll be analysing a fascinating draw between two chess giants, Edvardsen, and Carlsen, Magnus, from their last encounter. We'll break down each move and variation to understand the strategies at play. Let's dive right into it. NF6. Edvardsen opens with 1 d4, the queen's pawn opening, and Carlsen responds with 1. NF6, a standard move that prepares for central control and development. 2. NF3 d5, both players continue with solid development. 2. NF3 is a natural development move, aiming to control the e5 square. Carlsen replies with 2 d5, striking in the center, establishing a symmetrical pawn structure. 3. E3 bf5 with 3 e3, Edvardsen prepares to develop his dark squared bishop while allowing flexibility for his center pawns. Carlsen responds with 3 bf5, placing his bishop on an active square, exerting pressure on the c2 pawn. 4. c4 c6, Edvardsen challenges the center with 4 c4, trying to seize more space. Carlsen plays 4 c6, reinforcing his d5 pawn and preventing an immediate cx d5 push from white. 5. nc3 e6, Edvardsen develops his knight to c3, reinforcing his control over the central squares. Carlsen responds with 5 e6, preparing to complete his development and allowing his light-squared bishop to come out. Tas6, bd3 bxd3, Edvardsen develops his dark-squared bishop to d3, eyeing the h7 pawn. Carlsen responds with 6 bxd3, simplifying the position slightly by exchanging bishops. 7 qxd3, nbd7, white recaptures the bishop with 7 qd3, centralizing the queen. Carlsen continues his development with 7 nbd7, preparing to connect his rooks and possibly aim for a later e5 push. 8 b3 bd6, Edvardsen plays 8 b3, preparing to fianchetto his dark-squared bishop, which will help control the center and provide some pressure on the long diagonal. Carlsen responds with 8 bd6, completing his development and preparing for kingside castling. 9. Both players continue with normal development, castling to safety with 9-0-0 and 9-0-0, ensuring their kings are protected and getting their rooks ready for action. 10. b2 qe7, Edvardsen fianchettos his dark-squared bishop to b2 with 10, b2 eyeing the long diagonal. Carlsen plays 10 qe7, preparing to double his rooks on the e-file and potentially push e5. Rad1, Rad8, Edvardsen develops his rook to d1 with 11 Rad1, preparing for central control and supporting his d4 pawn. Carlsen follows suit with 11 Rad8, reinforcing his own d5 pawn and looking to bring his other rook into the game. 12 rfe1 dx4. Edvardsen now brings his other rook to e1 with 12 rfe1, placing it on a central file. Carlsen takes advantage of the position with 12 dxc4, winning a pawn and challenging white's center. 13 bxc4 e5, Edvardsen recaptures the pawn with 13 bxc4, opening up the b-file. Carlsen immediately strikes in the center with 13 e5, challenging white's central pawn structure and trying to free his position. 14 dxe5 x5, Edvardsen pushes forward with 14 dxe5, forcing the exchange of pawns. Carlsen recaptures with 14 nxe5, maintaining pressure on the central squares and keeping his pawn majority intact. 15 xe5, Edvardsen exchanges knights with 15 xe5, simplifying the position further. Carlsen recaptures with 15 bxe5, keeping his central control intact and further reducing white's attacking chances. 16 e2 rxd1, Edvardsen places his queen on e2 with 16 qe2, possibly preparing to double on the e-file or attack Carlsen's weak pawns. Carlsen responds with 16 rxd1, initiating a rook exchange. 17 1 rdh. Edvardsen recaptures with 17 rxd1, maintaining control of the d-file. Carlsen replies with 17 rd8, preparing to double up on the d-file and exert pressure on white's position. Just 18 rxd8 plus qh. The rook exchange continues with 18 rxd8 plus, and Carlsen responds with 18 d8, further simplifying the position and trading queens. 19 qd1 qxd1 plus. Edvardsen attempts to maintain pressure with 19 qd1, but Carlsen responds with 19 qxd1 plus, exchanging queens and leading to a simplified endgame. 20 nxd1 bxb2, Edvardsen recaptures with 20, nxd1 continuing to simplify. Carlsen grabs another pawn with 20, bxb2, further increasing his material advantage. 25. Edvardsen recaptures with 21 nxb2, taking control of the b5 square. Carlsen plays 25, advancing his pawn to open up the position and gain further space. 22. f3 kfh. Edvardsen attempts to push for space with 22 f3, but Carlsen plays 22. kf8, keeping his king safe and preparing for the endgame. 23. kf2 ke7. Edvardsen plays 23, kf2 bringing his king closer to the center, but Carlsen replies with 23, ke7 bringing his own king into play to help in the endgame. At this point, the game ends in a draw after a series of exchanges and simplified positions. Both players reach a mutual agreement as the position is balanced and no significant advantage remains. This game was a wonderful display of strategic play and a balanced fight for central control. Both players made solid moves, simplifying the position to a draw, showcasing their deep understanding of the game. Let me know if you'd like to explore more games in this series or need additional analysis on specific lines.